All right, hello and welcome. So if you're studying accountancy right now, I've got news for you. You're not just preparing for a job, you are literally stepping into the middle of a revolution. What we're going to talk about isn't just some new trend, it's a fundamental reinvention of your entire profession. So let's just dive right in.
So let me ask you this, straight up. As you're starting your journey, is your career going to be about looking backward at what a company has done, or is it going to be about looking forward to help shape what a company can become? Because that choice, right there, is really at the heart of this whole ESG transformation. And this is the core idea, the one thing you need to remember. The role of the accountant is changing and it's not going back. You're moving from being the person who just keeps score of past financial results to being a forward-looking strategic advisor who actually helps create and measure long-term sustainable value.
So what's driving all this? Well, it's a huge shift away from those optional, sometimes fluffy corporate social responsibility reports towards mandatory, standardized, digitally powered ESG disclosures that have actual teeth. I mean, just look at the difference here. The old world was all about recording history using only financial numbers. The new world, it's about predicting the future by blending financial data with this new ESG data. This isn't just a small software update, it's like a whole new operating system for the entire profession. For years, this whole space was, it was chaos. Companies, investors, even accountants were totally lost in what everyone called an alphabet soup of different standards. But now, finally, a global rulebook is starting to emerge that brings some much-needed clarity and consistency.
And the organization leading this charge is the International Sustainability Standards Board, or the ISSB. Their whole mission is to create a single global baseline for sustainability reporting. The idea is that an ESG disclosure in Manila should mean the exact same thing as one in London or New York.
And the really smart thing is, the ISSB isn't starting from a blank page. As you can see, they've basically consolidated the best of what was already out there. They've taken the climate expertise from the TCFD and the super-specific industry knowledge of SASB and baked them right into the new global standards, IFRS S1 and S2.
Now, this slide is absolutely crucial to understand. The global baseline from the ISSB focuses on what we call financial materiality. It's an outside-in view. It asks, how do ESG issues affect the company's bottom line? But Europe is going a step further with double materiality, which also asks about the company's impact on the world.
So yeah, let's dig into that. Because this idea of double materiality is probably one of the biggest mental shifts for an accountant. It's going to require you to think way beyond just the company's own value. It's really as simple as it sounds. There are two sides to the coin, right? You have to look at the risks and opportunities flowing into the company from the outside world, and you also have to analyze the impacts flowing out of the company onto the world.
Breaking it down like this makes it super clear. Step 1, the outside-in view, that's the traditional investor focus that the global standards require. But step 2, the inside-out view, that's what's called impact materiality. That's the part Europe has added, looking at the company's actual footprint on society and the environment. You're going to need to master both.
Okay, let's get a little more technical for a minute. One of the most urgent, most in-demand skills for accountants right now is carbon accounting. This is where your core skills in measurement and data integrity are just absolutely invaluable.
The global standard, the GHG protocol, breaks emissions down into 3 types, or scopes. Scope 1 is the stuff you burn yourself in your factories or your cars. Scope 2 is the electricity you buy. And Scope 3? Well, that's the big, complicated one. It's basically everything else up and down your supply chain, from raw materials to what your customers do with your products.
And at its heart, the calculation is actually pretty straightforward. You just take your activity data, like how many kilowatt hours of electricity you used, and you multiply it by an emissions factor to get your total emissions. Now, does that process, setting boundaries, collecting data, applying a factor, and consolidating it all sound familiar? It should. That is the natural language of an accountant.
Okay, so we've got all this new mandatory data, but that leads to a huge question. Can we actually trust it? And that question opens up a massive new frontier for the entire profession, sustainability assurance. To make sure we can trust it, the world's assurance standards setter has just released something called ISSA 5000. Think of it as the first truly global, all-in-one standard for auditing ESG information. It's designed to make sure sustainability reports are just as reliable as financial statements.
And you'll need to know the 2 levels of assurance you can provide. Limited is a lighter touch.
It's basically saying, we looked and nothing crazy jumped out at us. But reasonable assurance, that's the gold standard. It's the same level as a full financial audit, and it provides the highest level of confidence. And places all over the world are already starting to require it.
Okay, so let's bring this all back home. What does this massive revolution actually mean for you and your career starting like right now? The simple truth is this. The demand for accountants who get ESG has absolutely exploded, but the supply of people with those skills hasn't caught up. Now, for you, that's not a problem. That is the single biggest career opportunity for your generation entering this profession. You can become the expert that companies are desperately looking for, and you can start building that expertise immediately. Seriously, professional bodies like the IFRS Foundation and the AICPA have already launched a whole bunch of new certifications. Getting on top of these will put you on the fast track to becoming a leader in this space, maybe even before you graduate.
And you know, this isn't just about job security. It's about actually liking your job. Research is showing that students just like you are drawn to the purpose-driven side of this work. This ESG shift is making accountancy a more impactful, more attractive career, and it's helping to totally revitalize the profession for the future.
So here we are, full circle. Your chosen profession is right in the middle of a once-in-a-generation transformation. It's becoming more strategic, more forward-looking, and honestly, more impactful than it has ever been before. The rulebook is being totally rewritten. So the only real question left is, what part are you going to play in writing the next chapter?